gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. Look at.
I want to move on to the final part of the show, which is all around the scale blueprint. And so systems can obviously enable scale really amazingly well, right? There's accounting software like Xero, and feel free to punt it. No, you will. It's like it's a foregone conclusion.
So at the moment, you can get a 3-month free trial.
It's a discount right there.
So let's talk about systems, right? I mean, if you can automate those processes that are time-consuming, or you just quite simply don't want to fucking do them, right? Like managing people, invoicing, all that kind of cool stuff. And we'll touch on outsourcing in a second. I mean, what are the fundamental systems that any business has to have when it comes to enabling scale through technology?
So I want to give my 2 best advice, not on technology, but it can also be like physical stuff, systems. So we had this issue at the office where when new staff came in, we had to make them keys. And eventually it was like this full-time job just to manage keys. And when a staff comes or employee comes in, make keys. When they leave, take keys. Oh shit, we didn't take the keys, get keys. And then eventually we started biometric readers, which is obvious. But even for the little stuff, like the petty cash box, we included the little safe in the office with a pin. So even those physical stuff, where you can take the time away, put in those things. And then the second thing, and I always talk about it, is with employees. One of the biggest things that created a lot of success for us was when we started doing second agreements with all our employees. And what I mean with that is you've got your standard employment agreement, but then we created second agreements where we've listed every single thing that they had to do, from the cleaner to the CEO. And if they didn't do it, we would revisit those agreements and see if it's on there. And if it's not on, we'll add it. And to get that shared understanding between you and your employees. So those are the systems that I would say that you need to implement to get scale, because otherwise you as an entrepreneur or CEO will forever manage those employees, think employees are stupid, but it's actually you that's not just putting in the systems to manage them.
So everybody has to have a key strategy, basically. There you go, and on that bombshell.
No.
So what, Jason, I mean, you consult in this space. I mean, if you're looking at it at a 10xe perspective.
So 2 things first, right? So your first technology to scale on is awesome people. Like it's your avant-garde for everything. The systems you put in will be put in by people. So get the right people first. And without question, there are systems to systematize how you get the best people into the business and keep them. So that should be focus number 1. And focus number 2 is systematizing your revenue engine. Like if you can get right, getting great people, and you've got predictable revenue growth, a lot of the other things take care of themselves. A lot of the other systems come because smart people have good ideas like, let's change the stupid key system. And when you've got growth, you've got the reason to fund putting in place those systems. I'd say without question, those 2 sets of systems are the first things you put in place.
Vuyo?
Yeah, I say to entrepreneurs, there are so many free tools out there. It's actually staggering how many free things are out there to assist your business. And even worse so, how many people don't use them. Google Docs is fantastic. It's fantastic. We've got a great bean accounting system. Fantastic.
Oh, yes.
You've got mysmetools.com, free. Log on, does your financials. This is my plug. So your business plan does a whole number of things, and it's there. But why aren't you using them? We spend so much time selling, but we don't use these systems to help us systemize and automate our business, which is, for me, mind-boggling. I get the idea that you have to sell, but quick little anecdote, if I go off on a tangent. So a month ago, my business partner and I get Keyman insurance. Oh, lovely. Discovery comes, does the test. We're insured for, quite a bit. And he's like, wow, yeah, we're expensive. Wow, look, if you ever die, I can claim on you. And I'm going, yeah, I'm worth so much. That evening, because of my paranoia, I freaked out. You know why? I realized I hadn't built a team. Right? So if I'm worth that much to the business, it means I can't take myself outside of the business. So I'm still working for the business. And the whole premise of why I started a business, aside from many other things, is the business must work for me, right? We all here, I'm presuming most of us have started PTYs, or you've got CCs and not NPOs. Even NPOs, you need to make money. But ultimately, you want a business of value, a business that's, going to work for you, not the other way around. And without systems, and again, I go back, there are lots of them, and they're free. Spend a day, 2 days figuring out how do you automate and systemize your business. It's free. It's worth it. It's going to help you scale that business, help you go away on holiday more often, see your wife and your kids more often and not be hated. But they're there, and it boggles the mind. Spend time systemizing your business so that it can work for you.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So when do you outsource anything, right? Because you get some people, and I've kind of fallen in that category where it's like it's excellence or nothing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like attention to detail. Otherwise, how do you build a brand, right? How do you build a really successful business? These things are important. So what you find is that you kind of you get to the situation where actually, I need people. I need to start outsourcing stuff. I have written, I did in another life, part of globalization, which was 15 years ago, when the internet happened and had sex and stuff and outsourcing happened. And you basically systemize your processes, right? So it's a local work instruction or a document that goes step 1, 2, 3 till 12. And it literally spells out in writing all the steps that a potential new hire can do, right? And I suppose everybody needs to do this in their business to scale. You have to scale your processes. The problem, though, is that sometimes instructions don't get followed as much as you write them in detail. And so what you find is that you start getting frustrated with the fact that you have outsourced certain things. For instance, especially as a startup, I have a PR firm. Right? And when they don't get things right in the press release, for instance, or in the content distribution deals that we broker through all this stuff, that pisses me off, right? So, and that's a kind of a barrier to scale, I guess. So I just open up to the panel, so anybody can jump in here. When do you outsource? And going back to your point around systems, they're like Hootsuite, you can outsource to social media content distribution. Do you know what I mean? Just MailChimp, your email, everything is automated, right? So where do you jump off the outsourcing train?
I think the buck still stops with whoever is outsourcing or the entrepreneur. And I think too often we say that, I can't get to this, let me just outsource it. Many outsource functions really is a collaboration between the two. And if they really let you down, if they make spelling errors in your press release, then you must fire them. But I think the nice thing about outsourcing is you can keep someone else accountable, but you need to get that common understanding and in terms of what they expect from you and what they're going to deliver. And if they don't deliver, then get someone else. But I think being in that space, it's mostly just getting the communication and the collaboration right.
Yeah, so I'd say I'd reverse the question. When should you not outsource? That's the better question to be asking, because you should try and, as a scale-up, outsource as much as you can. But there are a lot of good times when you shouldn't outsource. And I'd say the most fundamental time you don't outsource is when you're trying to lead the thinking, when you're innovating, when you're trying to figure out how this should be done in the future. You want that done inside. You want that learning and knowledge to stay on the inside. And when it's harder to guarantee quality if it is done outside than if it is done inside, then, and it's a really critical activity, then don't outsource. But on almost everything else, ask why not, and then how do we manage quality so we can guarantee it through, just as Marnus says, through skill in how we manage contractors. But almost everything else, so far as possible, outsource it, because you're externalizing a lot of your cost, your fixed cost, and you're externalizing a lot of the expertise that sometimes is hard to get to come and buy into your value proposition and employer, but not so hard to get if they can continue living their dream and deliver services to you.
Vuyo, do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. For me, outsource everything that's non-core. What is core to your business is the value of your products and services that you're delivering to that one customer who's going to pay you that 10 rand. Simple as that. If whatever it takes to deliver that service or product to that first paying customer is core, that you don't outsource. Everything else, outsource. There's no reason not to. In fact, I would say there's an interesting Greiner, Greiner growth model, if you remember that. He talks about the 6 phases of your growth. So at the beginning, you're the entrepreneur, you're small, you start up, you're creative, fantastic. Then you go to the next stage where you have to become a business leader. Now you're delegating. You're trying to find I guess that's what you're talking about, that core stuff, who are the key people, and that's critical. I think you spoke about it before you even get to processes, and so forth and so forth. Do me a favor and look at that. You can Google it. Greiner, growth model. So you outsource as much as you can, but also in terms of partnership, I mean, we've got an unwritten rule in our business: partnerships or perish. Purely, we hunt in packs. So we've got something like 42 partners at the moment, all for different things. To add value to what we're doing, we add value to them. So, like in any partnership, a partnership is a relationship, right? Whether it's with your sibling, business partner, wife, brother, it's a relationship, right? So you're not going to pick any Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Susie, and Martha, and so forth. You're going to be very critical about those people, right? You're wanting to build long-term partnerships, and partnerships about value. It's never one-sided. So what do I add value to you? What do you add value to me? If that's not happening and it's not reciprocal, it's not going to be long-term. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. So if you can partner, half of the job is done. I mean, I think we touched on it earlier. I mean, I don't market because we've got partners with 100,000 entrepreneurs. Another one has got 19,000. Another one, I just plug into those as my distribution. I don't have to do anything. I didn't have to buy. I didn't have to pay them. They don't have equity in my business, but I'm adding value to them in terms of their membership base, and they're adding value to me in terms of getting that membership base onto my platform.
Cool. Marnus, you wanted to jump in there?
I don't know what the question was, but I just want to add on something there. So just in terms of outsourcing, and again, I'm involved in it, like, there's no ways that you can employ in our space an accountant in-house for 6,000 rand. So you can utilize the knowledge and skills of someone on the outside for a very low fee and get all the benefit of that. We do debt collecting. We do it all the time. We know what works, what doesn't work. So to pay us for that, you're never going to get it right yourself. So I think we underestimate the power of outsourcing, because we've got such egos as entrepreneurs. We can do everything and we can do it better than anyone else. But the reality isn't that. And if we can just get, to your point, the working relationship right, the value that we can get from the other party is huge.
Jason, you also wanted to jump in.
Well, firstly, I just want to thank Marnus for the little masterclass on how to pitch your business 5 times in half an hour. But
so everyone's saying you shouldn't go for an equity partner, and you're sitting here, and then and then Jason is like, no, it's really good to go for a partner in your business.
So I actually tell entrepreneurs, actually don't go for an equity partner, but when you have to, come to us. So what I was going to say is, I mean, manufacturing iPhones is probably quite core, and Apple outsourced that. So what you have to think about, and that's, by the way, why they're the world's highest profitability company per employee, $500,000 of profit per employee per year. And it's because they're really good at knowing not only what do they have to do inside, which is design, architecture, innovation, but then also innovating on how do you manage it when somebody else manufactures your product for you, and then becoming brilliant at that. So their core competence has become managing the people who make the iPhone. And so, I'm just challenging you to think really creatively about what to outsource and what you really need to do inside to deliver the value and to capture the value.
Okay, cool. Are there any questions for our panel? This lady in the front, Mav?
Hi, everyone. I just want to go back to that point around discounting, especially to get into the market. We did a lot of that. I run a creative agency, so it's service-based, retainer model. And one of the things that we're battling with, I hope none of my clients are sitting here, is how do you leave a price point that you established with certain clients without breaking the relationship and, seeming like you guys are now full of yourself, you're too big for the people you started with, but really getting to a better price point that allows you to scale, because what we started charging when we entered the market was quite competitive, but surely now we have to move on, but we still have those clients. So, yeah.
Cool. Who's that for? Marnus?
Anyone.
He's the bean counter.
Yeah.
So.
I'll tell you my opinion on it. And someone actually asked me the same thing, exactly the same thing this week. And my answer was, I think many times we think we're the supplier and we must stay here and we can't talk to our customer. So what we do many times is we go to our customer when they don't want to pay our fees and we say, what do you want to pay? And then they tell us and we go back and we see if we can't make it work. And then we go back, not discounting our fees, but say, for this, we can't offer you this and this, but we can still offer you this. And I think we don't talk to our customers enough. And with that, I said to the other girl that just be completely honest and approach your customer and say, you know what, when we started out, we really wanted your business. We discounted it. At the moment, we're running at a loss for it, and we need to increase our prices. You can go and find competitive quotes, but we just won't be able to sustain you on this. And just be completely honest with them. And many times, if they're a good customer, you'll find that they actually work with you to work it out.
Vuyo?
So I've got a line a friend of mine always says to his clients, and I've been in that meeting. It's quite funny. He will say he said it to one client who was, arguing with him about price point. He said, listen, I never said I was the cheapest, but I'm the best. So you also you have to get to a point where you believe in your product and understand that you've grown past a particular growth curve, right? So the clients that you had, you might have to say, for this price point, does it work for this business that I am or that stage that I'm at now? It might not. You might have to, as an entrepreneur, get to a point where you go, the 4 clients that I had, after having that honest conversation, we are not seeing eye to eye, say no and move on. Find better clients, new clients that will see the value of the service that you're bringing because you're at a different stage of your business.
Yeah.
Never be afraid to say no and cut ties. It happens.
It's kind of hard to do that, dude, when you're in survival mode, eh?
Yeah. So that's the tricky bit. I've been in that space. And
Well, we all have.
yeah,
right?
we all have. And it goes back to that point that you have to make that pivot, that transition of where you are. What do you believe in? Do you believe in the service that or product that you're offering? Have you proven the value of your service and offering? And I can guarantee you somebody's going to buy it. If you believe in it and you're offering value, I'll go back to value. Everybody and their dog can sell the cheapest product and the cheapest service. They're always going to be there. There's a new crop of people who come and do advertising design work. Dime a dozen outside of Vega and what are these other schools? Yellow and Red and so forth and so forth. There'll be many of them also offering cheaper products to get in, and they're the best, and they've learned the newest design, not. But if you want to endure, you have to believe in your product, deconstruct, and say, what is it that I'm actually offering? So maybe website design, it was part of your package, doesn't matter anymore. Because the amount of websites that you're doing for the amount of return doesn't make sense. So now you've moved to more strategic consulting in your design or advertising that, people will pay more for. You have to decide.
Cool. Any more questions? Okay, I have one. Okay, the guy right at the end there. So while we're waiting for Pastor Mike, just to run around hiring. So hiring, just resourcing is one thing I really want us to touch on because it's a critical component. Everyone's landed at that point. So should you hire for skills or should you hire for attitude?
Wow. So taking a leaf out of Marnus's book, you need to come to our boot camp on the 25th of this month. But you definitely, it's role specific. The more junior the role is, the more you're hiring for attitude. In every role, you're hiring for attitude. That's without question. But the more senior the role is, the more clear it is that you just need competence and experience. You can't hire, a sales executive to scale your product across 3 continents and, 5 time zones who hasn't done this before. So you need a great attitude, but you also need somebody who can show you the way because we don't know how to do it. We're hiring somebody who can show us the way. So you've got to get it right per role. In every role, you need attitude. In some roles, you really do need the right competence.
I would also add to that culture fit. In terms of people coming into your organization is very important. So you can have a total MBA grad who's fantastic on paper, but in terms of the culture fit and what that person adds to the vision and the value of your business, does nothing. So it's a tricky one. I don't actually have the answer to that.
Yes.
Yeah, don't have the answer to that.
Let's take your question there, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. We've built a fast-growing platform, and currently we're not really looking for VC, so maybe a bit of a practical question. We're looking for a business mentor. Where do you find those?
Yep, great question.
I think it's so important because I think so many entrepreneurs are looking for an investor, and when they get the cash, they're so disappointed in what they get because they think they're going to get all everything else. But most investors don't invest for that reason. Especially on Shark Tank, I think many of the entrepreneurs pitching on there, they was actually looking for someone to, never mind help them run their business, to run their business, and. An investor won't do that. So it's easy when you're in a high growth business to find money because there's a lot of money lying around and people want to use it, but it's very hard to find the time. And I think those are the real valuable VCs who's actually saying we don't do a lot, but those who we do, we spend time and money on them. And there are 2 gentlemen over here that you can come to afterwards. And they committed to spending time in a business as well. So you do get it. I just think they're far and few.
So just on that, the other thing that you can consider doing is joining a mastermind group. How many of you have heard of that before? Okay, how many of you are actually in one? Okay, so that for me is a sin, right? So if you're running a business, you need to be in a mastermind group. And it just happens.
Matt, isn't there one here?
Yeah, there is actually. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm serious because I started one 18 months ago. The thing with running a business, whether you're a service business, product business, tech business, doesn't matter. Like it's lonely, right? It's just fucking lonely, right? Your wife doesn't understand it unless she's working in the business with you. It's hard, right? So the only people that will ever understand your world is another entrepreneur, period. Okay? And maybe your therapist. Get a therapist. But masterminds are like business therapy for entrepreneurs, right? It's a safe space. It's like 6 people. You basically come in, it's all confidential, and you talk about your stuff, your shit, right? It's like hiring decisions. Where do I find a mentor? Should I hire? When do I outsource? Everything that we've discussed here is the kind of a forum, right, that you conduct in a mastermind thing. You talk about your business positives and negatives, your personal positives and negatives, what you need help with. And we track everything here through our member network, and then we actually go out and resolve unresolved issues. So if you have if you're a music publisher and you have a legal issue with a publishing deal in Europe and you can't find sufficient knowledge capital or expertise to solve that problem, we will solve that. And I can tell you, you'll become friends. They'll start to come to your birthday parties. You'll start to do deals with each other. Your networks will start to open up. And all you did was join a mastermind group to talk about your shit. It's the opportunity cost of that for me is insane. So I highly recommend that you all do that. If you really want to know what it's about, do a trial and come and experience it for yourself. Vuyo, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, so I want to back Matt on that. We underappreciate and undervalue peer-to-peer mentorship, right? And the expertise, the failures. I failed at business. Greatest learning curve ever. Yeah, brokest time of my life, but it's been good. It was good. But peer-to-peer mentorship in terms of what you can learn from your peers. People who've been there, done that, failed. Even people in, not just mentors, but people who are professionals. So you have to also understand why you want the mentor. I've got about 3 mentors, gray hairs, I call them. And for me, I've never asked them for money. They're millionaires, never asked them for money. Reason being, their input as a sounding board and their input in terms of social capital. So that's another thing when you come and join these masterminds. Social capital is the amount of network that you have, right? So I've met Jason, Marnus, Matt, the access to opportunities, hiring, they could probably advise me on who to hire. They might know the right people to fit my business. So again, it comes back to, you can have a mentor, and there's hundreds of programs in South Africa and abroad. They talk about mentors, and my argument is, does it fit me in terms of what I do? Does this person, can I have a coffee with them? Do I also like them? Do they understand my sector? Is it access to their social network that can open up doors? So yeah, I'd definitely agree with Matt. Those peer-to-peer mentorship, these kind of sessions, and also just to cry. It's important. As entrepreneurs, it's important.
Exactly. No one will say a word. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay, cool. So I just want to wrap up and say thank you to our panel. And we're going to play a quick little game. So this is basically, you want to explain the game?
Yeah. So we're giving away a seat at the next Path to Scale Bootcamp. It's 3 days on how to scale a company. It's $16.5 grand ticket price. And the ticket goes to whoever puts up their hand first with the answer to the question, what was the biggest exit in South Africa last year? Venture name, entrepreneur name. Entrepreneur's name? Okay, you get half a ticket. I'm just joking. You got it. Okay, so it was Get Smarter, $123 million to 2U, Sam Paddock. So, well done, guys. All right.
Cool. So it's Anish. Yeah, well done. So Anish, you've also the guy who's won the phone. So congrats, dude.
Yeah. And you've been before, so who are you going to give it to?
Yeah, actually, who's the lady in the front? Alrighty, cool. So I just want to wrap up very quickly and say, guys, if you haven't done so yet, come and join the Mesh Club, meshclub.co/trial, and come and experience a mastermind, right? Just do it. You've got nothing to lose. You'll also stand a chance to win at your profile on Entrepreneur Mag.
I'm Nico Pretorius, and I'm in the property industry, investing in commercial properties. I think it was very informal, it was very nice, even if you didn't know a lot of people, it seems like you fit in. It's like a nice venue. There was a lot of laughter. There's also a lot of small things that you can learn from the guys that already been in business for quite a long time. So I think it's very helpful to a lot of people.